Welcome to the Mid-Market Edge podcast, where we uncover operational insights for private equity-backed portfolio companies. I'm your host, Kevin Bonfield, and over the last 30 years, I've had the privilege of working with fast-growing entrepreneurial teams, helping them scale, tackle challenges, and seize new opportunities. On this show, we'll talk to industry experts and seasoned leaders who will share practical strategies to drive growth, boost efficiency, and create value in the mid-market. Get ready for an insightful, engaging conversation that dives deep into the real-world issues facing your business. I want to welcome Nickie Froiland today to the Mid-Market Edge podcast. I've known Nickie, it seems like I've known Nickie for no time at all and yet for forever. And I think that once we go through this podcast, you'll get a sense of why I say that. We met, I think, maybe 2 years ago in Austin, maybe? Yeah, three? Yeah. That could be it. Nickie is the co-founder of Modus. They do incredible work with founders, companies that are scaling rapidly. Welcome to the podcast, Nickie.
Well, hey, thanks for having me, Kevin.
My pleasure. So I started off a little bit with Modus. Maybe you can tell us what Modus does, the kind of great work that you lead.
Yeah, I love to share that my husband and I started this company because other people own companies. And we love small business. You know, small business is the lifeblood of the United States of America. We're not the ones that get in the headlines as often because Apple and Starbucks and AI, all the different ones, you know, they're sexier and fancier. At the end of the day, though, small business are who employ the lion's share of employees in this country. And so we started our business to help people who own small businesses. And Modus 9 is a literal expression of what our clients could expect from us. Modus is Latin for movement. 9 means fulfillment. We will move you toward fulfillment. Now, when we were sharing this with our teammate one time, she goes, yeah, 9's not 10, because no one's ever a 10. And I think that's really the biggest thing. We're constantly in motion as humans, as leaders, as executives. We're in motion toward being a 10, but it is just that. It is a constant state of motion, and it is a destination we won't achieve. Yet, we know that every result in your business and in your life grows as you grow, and we're here to help you do that.
That's awesome. The comment about 9 and you're not a 10 yet. One of the things I do is I rate my week each week, and I've still not hit a 10. And I think part of that is even on the best weeks, I'm like, I could have done this, or we could, it could have felt like that. So I love that as a way of thinking about getting towards fulfillment. That's awesome. So today we're talking about preparing companies for sale, and it may be sale, it may be a transition, it may be a funding event, right? It could be any of those things. Maybe you can talk through how Modus 9 supports founders and small businesses as they start to move in that direction.
Yeah. First of all, I like to think about preparing for a sale similar to lighting your home. And the two of them will not sound similar at all, yet let me tell you. So in my prior company, I owned a marketing firm, and we worked with different builders and different companies associated to construction and such. And what we would always learn from the lighting companies is that they were often brought in too late. The design started to contemplate lighting too far into the design process or the build process, which therefore made it more challenging to truly illuminate the home the way the person might most enjoy it. And I think preparing for sale is very similar. I think that most people get to a place where they get tired, or some change in events, some change in life circumstances happen, and they go, okay, it's time to sell. And then they find themselves in this position where they weren't really ready to sell. And so now they're going to have to accept the valuation that they get and the exit that's available to them if they're kind of stuck in selling at that time. So, like lighting would be much more effective in a home or in a building if the lighting were contemplated at the time that the design was beginning. A
Hmm.
sale will be much more effective, productive, and the outcome will be better. Notice I'm avoiding using the word successful because I hate that word, which
Yeah.
we may or may not talk about. So the outcome will be much stronger for the sale of a company if you spend time planning and preparing for it. And you need about 1.5 to 3 years to plan for your exit. Why? Because your valuation is going to be dependent upon about 12 different topics. If you check 4 boxes, you're going to get this much. If you check 6 boxes, you'll get a little more than that. If you check all 12 boxes, you will optimize your valuation. Most
Hmm.
people would like to optimize their valuation. We're here to help as long as you give us the time to help you prepare for it.
Yeah, that whole idea of, oh well, I'm ready for sale. Let's go and find an investment banker, and we'll move on and we'll go through the process. I think even talking to friends of mine who are investment bankers, they're looking at some of these companies that are coming to them and saying, there's still work to be done. We can take you to market, but at this point, as you were saying, you've only got 4 of the checkboxes done, so this is what it's going to look like. Um, so how do you have that conversation with clients who come to you when they look at it and they say, "Well, I think I'm ready," but the analysis that you're doing is saying there's still a path to go down to really optimize that exit.
Yeah, so the question is how do we handle it? And delicately would maybe be my response because oftentimes we believe we're worth more than maybe the other wants to pay us for.
Mm.
And that's true for you just as much as it is true for me, and certainly true for the clients that we may encounter. So you need to be delicate in that the idea of the person's valuation likely needs to be level set, and
Mm.
they need to be willing to face reality, which is seriously a roadblock because
Mhm.
sometimes that's not there. I think that, there's a couple of clients we're working with this on right now. And one business that comes to mind, they literally are preparing. They are getting all of their ducks in a row. They are doing one step at a time. They are elevating the way their organization executes and operationalizes what they do. That elevation is equaling greater expediency on how they do their work. It's equaling greater productivity. And it is, of course, then positively impacting the bottom line, which is
Mm.
putting them in a better financial position and operations position to sell the company. So that's a part of it. I think that we've got another business and they know that they're about 5 years away from an exit. And this is a single founder and small business. And he's thinking, well, is it best for me to build my business, my small business of around 10 employees? So very small business. The other business I was talking about is 80 people.
Mhm.
So this business, he's thinking, is it best for me to build my 10-person firm into something else over the next 3 to 5 years and do that all with a view of exiting so that I make the right moves strategically on how to build my team and then exit? Or is it better for me? I have an opportunity to become a lower percentage equity partner in a larger firm right now. Do
Mhm.
I want to bring my entire team of 10 into that firm? I have a small piece of a bigger pie. And can I trust a potential exit through that? And so that is a beautiful stage for us to be invited into the conversation because this person hasn't already made the decision to be a smaller equity partner in a bigger company. And he hasn't made the decision, I'm on a massive growth plan. So we're starting really at the beginning with what's the best choice for you. And that choice will always be personal. It will always be a personal decision.
Yeah, it's the thing that's interesting for me is that you see founders, and it's almost like I remember the last time I sold a house, and it's similar in that you go, wow, but we've lived here. It's a beautiful house, and we put all of this work into it, and I think it's on a great street. And ultimately, what it is it's an asset that other people value based on the other assets which are around it. And I may think that it's the most wonderful place because my kids grew up there, but everybody else is looking at it as this is what it's worth. And for me, I think that the first piece is just the disconnecting the it's my baby from it's an asset that people are looking to buy. This isn't a
Mhm.
comment on this is a comment on what you have done as a founder. It's just a comment on what the asset is worth in the marketplace.
Mhm. Yeah, I think what you're speaking to, Kevin, is when you start thinking about selling, you must detach
Mm,
your your heart from the business, and you must now start looking at the business as an entity on its own. I'm co-founder of our business. My husband and I just hired a CEO in July of 24. The purpose of hiring that CEO overarchingly is to drive us toward an exit. We are very thrilled with the impact that we get to make with the clients that we serve. We are very, very excited about the growing impact that we're able to have. There's a point
mhm,
at which, though, we won't want to be the ones that are growing it anymore. There's a point at which we won't be the best stewards of our own business anymore. And we will
mhm,
need to find a buyer who's excited about what we've created and built and established, and they're going to take it, give it more legs, more wings, and make it possible for our little business that we started to grow even more and help impact and affect more people.
yeah,
But
exactly.
in the process of hiring a CEO, one of the things that we've been doing now for 20 months is we've been separating or distinguishing ourselves from our business.
Mm,
So how, you have to depersonalize it. Back to the sale of a house thing. The first thing a realtor is going to do when it's time for you to sell your house, they're going to come in and they're going to tell you to take down your family photos. That doesn't sell a house. So
mhm,
just as well as co-founder, we have to be very careful not to have our fingerprint on things that our fingerprint is no longer needed to be on.
mhm,
And that is hard. It is incredibly hard work, and it requires you to shift your identity. Eric and I both we are going through an amazing and painful and rewarding process of shifting our identity. And when I think about your listeners and as they contemplate, do I want to sell my business? The biggest question that they need to ask themselves is, are you ready to become who you are, independent of your business?
mm.
Are you ready?
Yeah, gosh, this is fascinating, Nikki, because I didn't think we were going to have this conversation. So this is even better. I I I see that from friends of mine who've gone through, I'm going to say an exit, right? Where they've gotten paid and then they've done some kind of workout and then they're gone from the business, right? And in some cases, those can be incredibly short processes, right? The deal closes, it funds, and then a month later, you're out. You're not getting the email flow. That's the thing that I hear more than anything else is I was used to being in the middle of all of these things and people needed input from me and now they don't. They don't.
Yeah.
It's not. They don't even ask me. They don't come to me, right? And it's almost like they're wrestling with that identity issue post sale rather than, and it's jarring rather than thinking it through 2 years in advance.
Hmm. That's exactly right. Uh, it is the most important question you have to ask yourself. And then if you say, yes, I am ready to separate my identity from my business, then you definitely need to bring on help because you
Mhm,
are going to go through one of the most raw and challenging experiences that life makes possible for you. It is not a bad experience. It is
mhm,
okay for something to be hard and for it to be rewarding. And that the best things are a little hard, and the harder they are, the more rewarding they are. I will tell you though, it is not for the faint of heart, because you are going to face head on ideas and beliefs that no longer serve you. And it will be painful. And you may think, no, I really want to hold on to this. And really, you're only holding on to it because it's what you're used to, not because of
Mm.
what you need anymore. And the final piece is how identity and relevancy are inextricably tied. So when we are shifting our identity, the uncomfortable part of shifting our identity is due to our questioning our own relevancy. So this idea where you say, like, I'm not getting the emails anymore, the person is going, wait, am I needed? Am I valuable? Am I relevant? And yes, you are, but you will become relevant in new, more powerful ways than you even knew possible if you allow yourself to go through the shift in identity that's available for you when you take on the process of selling. So for the
Mhm.
person who's thinking that they're taking on the process of selling just so they can get money, they are overlooking what's really happening. That is a minor part of it.
Yeah, the whole idea of shifting why you're doing this and sorry, what you're doing into why you're doing this. What's on the other side? What's the bigger reason, right?
Right.
Make should make that shift in identity. I'm going to say easier, but as you're saying, the challenge of identity shifts are just massive.
Yeah. We had a client, you know how you get some people who come into your life and you're just forever grateful. So it was 2005, 2006. This client entered our life with my marketing firm. She worked with us all the way until 2022. And we helped her sell her business. And one of the things that she was so scared of is she didn't know who she was outside of her business. She just didn't know who she was. And so we took her through some why work and we helped her understand who she was outside of her business. And her why was really around expressing creativity. And she
Mm.
got to express her creativity in her business, which was a kitchen and bath remodeling business. Well, she got real scared about the idea of selling it because then she's like, what am I going to do with my time? Christmas 2025, 2024, I received the most amazing gift I've ever received. Eric and I both did. And we got a typed letter with a hand quilted frameable piece. And this hand quilted piece was an expression of how she now gets to express her creativity. And the letter was around her gratitude for our assistance in helping her understand who she was beyond her business. And the letter also let us know how much joy she is experiencing in her life now with all these new ways that she gets to express her creativity.
That's super cool. So she found her why, and then realized that she could shift from running this business to doing something completely
Yes,
differently. Yeah, that's so cool.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So you talked about early on. You talked about the challenge of starting to build that scale up, and you were talking about the operational changes that you're working through with one of your clients at the moment. Um, Maybe we can connect those two together. How does working on operational discipline and getting better at executing enable that sale and then to be able to move on to your why?
Great question. And oh, it's just so fun to see. So, how does focusing on productivity and strengthening execution result in aiding you in the sale of your business? Several ways. I'll go back to this team of about 80 people. There are four founders in this team, and the founders, when we began working with them, they were not on the same page.
Mm.
They all wanted the same outcome, but they didn't all have the same timeline in mind. They didn't have the same idea of how that outcome could be achieved, etc. So the first thing that we did with them is we did some coaching and we helped them align on their outcome. After we did some coaching, then we brought in our operational advising. And in operational advising, we help our clients track to their A priorities. We believe that if everything's an A priority, nothing's an A priority, and you must clearly define your A priorities. So imagine now a business that has 39 priorities that are probably not well captured or written down, along with another 95 priorities that just come up based on whatever fire is happening for the day. It makes it real hard for the employee to know, where am I supposed to put my time and energy? And so then they just take a guess at where they think their time and energy is going to be best spent. And before you know it, it isn't really driving toward the key priorities getting done. So we come in, we make sure the A priorities are well articulated. Then we help run a meeting once a week. You have a third party in your meetings once a week. People sit up a lot taller, and it's hard to let something slip through the cracks. So we've
It
got this
is.
meeting run once a week with all these people in it. It's 55 minutes long. This happens to be a 70, $80 million organization. So 55-minute long meeting, and you've got more than 50 people reporting, and they have fun with it. And this meeting has resulted in the following. First, it's resulted in helping the founders stay on the same page. Cool. Second, they have these managers and leaders that are go-getters, and they had been wanting clarity for so long, but they hadn't gotten the clarity, and so they were performing at kind of an average place. But it turns out it's not because they're average performers. They're star performers that just needed clarity. So what we were
Mm.
able to do and are still doing is we get to help those stars perform. Now, what is that equaling? It's equaling greater revenue. It's equaling greater productivity. It's equaling higher retention of staff. It's equaling greater joy from people doing their work. All of those things help aid in the valuation.
Yeah, the the idea of releasing the passion of such a large team, right? I mean, that sounds like a big meeting to get everybody together for, but to release the, to for those people to feel like the shackles have been blown off, and now it's like I get to go and do this, and I'm passionate about
That's
it.
it.
What an awesome gift to that company.
Well, and the other thing as it relates to valuation is it shows. So through our operational advising and having this continual practice, we get to show that the owners, the founders are not instrumental to the day-to-day operations. Because
Hmm.
a big part of an exit that gets hairy is you want to exit, but you haven't done a great job making sure that your company can operate without you. So you're not really exiting, you're getting bought. And now your time, founder, your time is no longer your own because you've sold for some period of time to this other person. So now somebody
Hmm.
else owns you and they own your time, unless you've done a really good job making sure in your path toward getting ready to sell, unless you've done a really good job in that path toward getting ready to sell in making sure that you're not as needed. So when we bring in the operational advising, it reduces the dependency on the owners, and it shows that there's a high productive, high quality productive team that's efficiently executing.
And I've got to imagine, Nikki, that this is also you've got third party validation. It's not just the founder or the founders saying, no, 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 we've got this structured, the whole team deals with it. You've got an external participant who can say, I've been in the middle of this for the last two
That's
years.
right.
I can tell you exactly how this team is executing on the most important things.
You got it. Yeah.
Yeah. So tell me about, I mean, four founders, that's more than one. Tell me about how you got the founders onto the same page, because that can be challenging if you've got even if you're thinking about moving towards the same goal, but you've got different time horizons and different ways that you think you can get there. That can cause people to be
Yeah.
off guard.
I love this question. One of our services that fits under our executive coaching is called partner meetings.
Mm.
And Eric and I are very, very proud of this service. We believe that every we believe that business moves at the rate at which you make decisions. Now, the rate at which you make decisions is contingent upon how aligned are you with the other people that are impacted or part of making that decision. So if you're super aligned, you're going to make that decision quickly and efficiently. If you're kind of aligned, it's going to be a little slower. If you're misaligned, you probably won't make the decision.
Hmm.
And so we run these partner meetings once a month, 4 hours. We have clients who have been doing them for 7 years and longer with no breaks. And we have a client that we were running partner meetings with for years. And in one partner meeting, it became clear they no longer had the same end goal. So we raised our hand and we said, hey guys, you don't have the same end goal anymore. And they went, she said that. What are we going to do now? And we helped amicably break them up. And now they
Hmm.
have two different businesses and they're both our clients. Would they have gotten themselves to that place where they acknowledged that they no longer wanted the same thing? And would they have admitted it? And would they have been able to identify that and separate within 6 months? Likely not.
Right.
And likely they'd be in a place where they're dealing with day-to-day friction and all the things. So most of the time, that isn't what happens. For 5 years before that, it isn't what happened. Most of the time, our partner meetings, we've had several partner meetings with varying clients this week. Most of the time, it's we come together and we get to talk about a topic that's hard. And we get to talk fully about that topic and we'll coach you through it. We'll help you use your voice. We'll keep it productive and we'll drive it to conclusion and decision. And so keeping the partners in sync is so incredibly important. But you can't do it on your own. And I think that's a realization that so many people just don't have. They keep thinking, "Oh, I should be able to find alignment by myself." You can't. It's really hard
Hmm. It,
because
it, it,
you can only see your view. You can't see it objectively. So a third party coming in doesn't have skin in the game, doesn't have the same emotion. We get to help drive through those what otherwise become the stopping points. Sorry for interrupting you.
No, all good. The thing that I find fascinating here is that if I was to look outside into the, let's just call it the wider world, it seems to be this at the moment, at least, especially over the last, I don't know, 10, 15 years. There's more and more conflict that we see. It seems, anytime you go on social media or television, it looks like there's more and more conflict. And yet at the same time, it feels like we've lost our ability to have difficult conversations one on one with people. And it comes out to me, it comes out in a couple of different ways, either missing out on the alignment and just assuming and moving forward. And then kind of a related topic is a lack of accountability where it's just, well, I didn't know that that's what you wanted, or I did my piece and it didn't show up. So, but that's not my fault. It's fascinating to me that what you're bringing is so powerful and yet so simple.
Exactly. And I love the way you called attention to that, Kevin. You're so right. We are almost in this conflict craze right now, whilst in the globally and
Right.
societally. And we're also so conflict avoidant. And as you know about Modus 9, we make sure the elephant is in the conversation. It's never in the corner of the room. And we define the elephant as anything that is being ignored or avoided. Now, what's really fun about our work, because our services, as you well know, fit both in the category of EQ and IQ, and you have to have both. In
Hmm.
the EQ services, we get to address behaviors. By learning new behaviors, you'll learn how to safely, carefully stop avoiding things and call attention to what needs to be called attention to. Through behaviors, you'll learn how to talk with people, not about people. However, on the IQ side of our services, where our systems and processes come in, because we make sure that any issue in the company is in front of everyone, it's black and white on a piece of paper or on a screen.
Hmm.
You now have to talk about it. It's right there. You can't
Right.
avoid it.
Right. You talked about elephants. I know that one of the things that you do is that you what that you do that you talk about is getting elephants out, and sometimes that's just all at once, getting all of the elephants out onto the table at one point. Maybe you can give us an example of where that's worked as somebody's going through this process.
Well, if I were thinking about elephants as it relates to preparing for a sale, we haven't done it exactly for that reason.
Hmm.
It's led to that down the road, but let's say we go into an
Oh.
elephant workshop that is solely for the purpose of measuring the readiness of them to prepare for sale. That would
Hmm.
be so much fun because you would entertain a conversation around how much of you is linked to the business or how independent is the business from you? That would be a
Hmm.
wonderful question. And imagine having an entire leadership team in that discussion and everybody gets to have an answer. Then you get to talk about, what is the biggest problem in the organization or in growing this organization? You can imagine there will be, if there are 8 people in the room, there will be 30 different ideas of what the biggest
Hmm.
problem is. So you get to land on what's that idea. My favorite thing about the elephant workshop is people usually come in with their shoulders to their ears because they're so nervous. They're like, how are we going to do this? We've never talked about how big their personality is and how hard it is to deal with their personality. And suddenly today we're going to talk about it. Oh my God, what's going to happen? And by the time the workshop's over, their shoulders are down and they go, wait, we just said hard things that we haven't admitted or said to each other in 5, 10, sometimes 20 years for our clients. And they say, I'm so refreshed. There's none of these that we can't handle. We've got this. We know how to do this. So there's a liberation that happens by discontinuing, ignoring things.
Yes. Yes. I heard somebody speak. This is probably it's probably about 10 years ago now at an EO university. And the speaker talked about when you run towards fear, it gets smaller and smaller. And
Oh,
when I heard that, I'm trying to work it out. It's like, oh yes, if you actually engage with the thing which is causing you pain, sometimes it's actually not a pain at all, right? And
yeah,
then other times, as you're saying, there are other people around the table going, "Oh yes, I've experienced that as well. It would be really good if we could actually get this on the table and deal with it."
that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very exciting.
Yeah, that's an elephant session. I think that sounds like
Mhm.
a good thing to do. So we've gone.
I was just going to say everybody should do them. Yet again, you've got to be willing to look at everything. I love the phrase in Scotland. They say, you take all of us, warts and all.
Yes.
And that phrase. So you've got to be willing to look at your business, warts and all. Or as my husband and I said to each other when we founded the company, we want to work with business owners who are ready to admit and that everything they love in their business is because of them. And it's a reflection of them. And everything they hate in their business is because of them. And it's a reflection of them. Let's work with all of it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's so true. So what have we missed so far, Nickie? As you work with founders, getting them ready so that they can I'm going to say the word successful, so that they can successfully go through that transition. And success, I think, is in the mind of the person who's going through it, right? That can be a very opaque topic. But what have we missed in terms of helping founders go through that process successfully?
Well, John Fraser is our resident expert in preparing our clients for sale and exit. And so I think he would color this with several things that I've missed.
Mm.
Uh, in my experience, what I would say is I don't know that we've missed it, but what I would reiterate, do not go to market just because you're ready to sell, just because you're tired and ready to sell. That is not your first move. It is a terrible idea. So do not go to market just because you're ready. Your first course of action is to call an organization like ours that helps prepare somebody for exit. I think the second thing I would reiterate is get ready to learn who you are outside of what, and in addition to what you've done for a long time.
Mm.
And the third thing I would reiterate is acknowledge that your view of the worth of your company is likely inflated, and take your focus from what you believe or want it to be worth and get it on pen and paper in black and white in the different sections that matter for valuation, what your recurring revenue is, what your technology components are, how dependent the business is on the founder is very, very, very influential to valuation as well. So get it out of your heart and some attachment emotionally that you have to some number, and get it into some black and white so that you can really start to understand the different components. And I think that really the last thing you said, I would reiterate also, which is step into your fear.
Yeah, I saw that's great. That's great insight into the way to start down that path. I saw a quote it was this last weekend which was, there are three tables where a sale can begin. One is a kitchen table, which is, I'm thinking through what I want for my family in the future. The second is the boardroom table, which is, actually the business is in such a situation that we need to go down a sale path. And the third was the operating table, which is, the founder's sick and the business has to move on. And you're just like, which table do you want to have this conversation around? Do you want to have it 2-3 years in advance when you can affect how you go through the process, how the company is valued, how you think about your identity, or do you want it to be forced upon you? And that seems like a massive difference to me.
Yeah, a final thought I would share that is just coming to my mind is how preparing to sell your business is really the same as creating a will.
Mm.
If you wait until you die and people just need to figure it out, it's going to get done a certain way. Your stuff is still going to get handled, but it's probably not going to be packaged the way you would have wanted it to, and it's not going to have the richness and the true result that you wanted. And so it's the same thing. If you wait until you're done with your business and now you're like, okay, I want to sell it, you're going to get what you get.
Mm-hmm.
Take the bull by the horns.
Yeah, run towards your fear. Well,
Yeah.
Nickie, this has been fantastic. I really appreciate your time today. This was a very different walk through how you get ready to go through this process, and I just wanted to thank you for being on the Mid-Market Edge.
Well, you're very welcome, and you knew you'd get different with me. So thanks for being willing to go on whatever journey I was going to take us on today.
Thank you. I did, and you delivered. I appreciate it, Nickie.
Thanks, Kevin.
Thanks for tuning in to the Mid-Market Edge podcast. For more information, visit the Mid-Market Edge website at midmarketedge.com. Details are in the show notes. Remember to subscribe and like the show so you'll never miss an episode. And until next time, keep building your edge in the mid-market.